Shalom, welcome to the Jewish View. My name is Rabbi Nachman Simon with the Chabad House of Delmer, together with my co-host Mark Vronich, a statewide news service, and we have jbiztechvalley.com. We have two very, very special guests with us. We have the Albany Fire Chief, City Fire Chief Warren Abriel. Welcome. As a chief, you. I'll just call you the chief for you to give her respect. Chief. And we have the Lieutenant Bob Powers. You're the president of the Firefighters Union.
Thank you for having us.
Lieutenant,
welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Hopefully we won't have too many sparks here.
Yeah.
How many fire?
We know where the exits are.
Okay, yes,
You
I
know,
do.
you probably have the best job in the world, because I think it probably is. I've never seen statistics, but every boy in their lifetime would want to be, every kid wants to be a fireman, to see the fire, the sirens. And
They're all playing with fire trucks when they're growing up.
So you got a good job.
I guess some of us don't grow out of it.
Sometimes
We're
we
still
You just
there.
play with
Yep.
bigger trucks.
Bigger
That's right. So Warren, you've been on the force for 42 years.
42 and June 5th
and
of this year.
And 26 years in management.
27 I
7
think
years
it is,
in
yeah.
management.
In the chief's office, yeah.
Right. So were you so before that you were
Before
part
that,
of,
I was in the field.
and you were part of the union.
Yep, part of the union.
And then, so for the past quarter century, when you're in management, you're not part of the union?
No, once you come into the office, you're not represented by the union.
Okay, so are things okay between you and the union? Are things
Oh, yeah.
going okay, yeah?
Yep, no, things are good.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
What's the toughest part?
Oh, probably just getting a little give and take back between both sides.
About what?
Yeah. Oh, there's all kinds of things, somebody didn't get the day off they wanted to get off, somebody wanted more vacation, or more important, somebody got skipped on the overtime wheel.
Okay.
And that's a lot of, back and forth and looking to see how we can fix things. And,
So people like doing overtime?
well, I think
When-
you
because
get both sides. Some do, and some, you look at a list and they never take overtime.
See, and all that gets into the media is the fact of all these folks who crave overtime because, and that it could more than double their salary and things like
Yeah,
that, so.
but there's people there that don't.
But they don't talk,
Don't do
you
it.
got to promote that not everyone takes
Is it?
overtime. You got to
Yep.
give a balance to the
Sure.
story.
There is a balance there. It is a good
Yeah.
working relationship. The chief and I have worked together. Obviously, since I've been in the union, he's been a chief. I've only been on 15 years. Became president 2 years ago, but I've worked with the chief on, different things ranging from disciplinary right up to, overtime grievances. But it's a good working relationship, and we both understand we have a job to do, and
Yeah.
we have to both. We try both to, like you said, give and take. It's very important.
I think besides that, I saw the chief right here. Of course, you're now on television, Jewish View, but you're on television like there was some kind of fire, would make a difference. But you say, well, chief, what really happened? Was it an arson, or was it, what happened? Anybody hurt? So do you go out to any major fire? And
Oh, yes, I still go, to basically anything, all second alarms and up. And if it's sounds like it might be something serious, I'll go. I went the other night, when did we have the fire? Last night or the night before?
First Street, right?
Yeah, First Street. Just got into bed and it was like 10:30 or so, and they had a report of people trapped, and I thought, this might be something that's going to get an extra alarm or something really serious. So I got up and went.
No one has to tell you, you just know on your own.
Oh, yeah. I know. Oh, well, I've been going to fires for
42 years?
60 years.
Oh.
I went, when I was a kid, my father would, we always had the scanner in the house, and if there was a serious fire, we'd be up and.
It's ingrained in you, it's in your
Yeah,
blood.
it is. It is kind of ingrained.
Let me ask you, is there a residency requirement for firefighters? Do they have to live in the city of Albany?
Well, you don't have to live in it to take the test,
No.
but they do give
When-
preference to city residents, and I believe it's 3 months,
After you're hired?
3 months prior to the date of the test.
30 days.
Was 30 days?
30
Okay,
days,
yeah,
prior to
30.
test and prior to exam.
Yeah, I know at one
So
time.
it takes
But you
we-
have to be
at
a
one-
resident of the city of
Of the
Albany.
city, yeah. At one time it was 3 months.
It was 1 year when I came on.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they've changed it, but now it's,
Well, where
Now
do
it's
you
one-
train? I mean, like, you need a few New Albany firefighters. I mean, you have your own training, or is it central to the Albany
well,
County, or?
what we do, we just put 14 new firefighters on. And the book learning and the classroom time is done in our headquarters, or we've got an agreement with Colony. We'll go up to Colony. They have a classroom. The drill work, the outside work is, right now we're doing Colony. We'll probably move to the Bethlehem Tower in a couple weeks.
So where do you practice putting out fires? Like, what buildings do you put on?
That would be, there's a Bethlehem Training Center and the Colony Training Center.
Yeah, but what's it like? I mean, how do
Oh.
you burn a building and then put out the fire and then use it again?
Well, they use hay and things like that to make smoke, to kind of give the
Simulate?
idea of the smoke. It's a slow progression from the first week to the end. And as they get toward the end of their time, it's they'll use pallets or things like that.
But do you simulate?
Oh, we simulate.
So, because I know, like, the police, they can rush, like it used to be on Weiss Road, Adams Park Apartments.
Yep.
They would use that empty apartment, they'd go and bash in the door, and they would train them how to
Sure,
protect
yeah.
themselves.
Actually, we trained there
trained
one time.
there at one
You know.
time, too.
But how do you?
Well,
you don't
blacking
set
out-
the place on fire.
No, but,
No.
but a lot of it is more mass confidence. Being able to work with a mask in a condition, a situation that you don't have visibility. So, blacking out your mask, we would do that. We do low profile. We would do escape. We did a couple of firefighter down simulations where a hole was cut in the floor. We had to pull them out of a basement or go out a window, down a ladder. Now we have bailout equipment that we use. So there's a lot of different things other than just putting out a fire
Okay.
that we have to be trained to do.
This is very informative. This is
Sure.
very
Yeah,
good
this
because
is-
people
Oh,
just
thanks.
see it, what they see on the
Oh, yeah,
news.
and we work, again, progressing from the beginning
Right.
to the end. When we do ladders, we'll have them raise a ground ladder to the side of the building, climb the ladder, climb down. We'll do that different weeks. Then we'll put the aerial ladder up against the building, and they'll raise the stick to the roof, and they'll climb. And it's like climbing a set of concrete stairs. Okay. Then we'll work, next couple of weeks, we'll work and we'll raise the stick, 100 foot in the air, and they'll climb that. And then when we know they're really confident, we'll usually take the truck down to the river and we'll nose it in on the pier and we'll raise the stick up over the river. And then, especially if it's a day like, a nice spring day where there's lots of clouds and there's a breeze, and we'll have them climb up and then lock in with a ladder belt and then lean back,
Yep.
put their hands. And when you're up there looking up at the sky and the clouds are moving,
Uh-huh.
and you look down at the river and the river's moving the other way,
Yeah.
and the ladder is just starting to sway a little bit,
You got to get your bearings.
You got to get
Sure.
your bearings, and but we work up to that. We don't start that the first week. That's at
I
the
got to
end.
ask you, has anyone offered their house for you to train in so you could burn down their house?
People offer quite a bit, and
That they don't want the,
that they want they want to clear the land,
Yeah.
and we don't usually do that. That's
You can't help them out with
well,
that?
no, we can't really help you out because it's really a very serious process that you have to go through.
Yes.
And you have to make sure, there's no asbestos. You have to have so many people on the scene. You have to have safety officers. And it's something that we try not to get into.
Well, you mentioned asbestos, and the former Blue Cross Blue Shield building out, when you go out
It's like
the city
85,
limits,
yeah.
85, that's filled with asbestos, I'm told. So do you know that do you know
we
that
don't
also?
know. That's, and it's
What's a
outside
Blue Cross
the
Blue
city.
Shield
Blue
building,
Cross
wasn't
and
it?
Blue Shield, yeah, outside the city.
It's just
But,
outside the
yeah,
city
just
limits?
outside
Oh,
the city.
okay.
Yeah, it's out.
Because
But
I was
the-
told that's why it's not being used, no one's
Oh, yeah.
doing it, because to get in there and do the abatement is just ridiculous.
Well,
expensive.
a lot of buildings have, asbestos in, and siding used to be made of asbestos. Most of the time, it's all right until you stir it up, but.
But, that's an interesting question, because I was going to ask you, like I started off the show, oh, it's so fun, you get to ride in a siren, that's what you see from the outside, but surely it's very dangerous. And I was just going to ask you about how dangerous, how many firefighters get hurt. But number two, then Mark brought it up, I mean, you're in a building with asbestos and it's burning up and I don't know, you're breathing it or you have a mask on or something. I mean, that itself is dangerous, not just the fire itself, but who knows what's in these
And the
places.
chemicals that are in the.
Yeah, I know.
And
Chemicals
and
are being
everything,
burnt up right in
everything's
your face.
changed from, probably from the 60s on. There's more plastics and things burn hotter and you get the chemicals when it breaks down. It's not like the old days where most of the furniture was wood. The dressers were wood, the beds
Cloth.
were woods, cloth.
The only thing you had to worry
Now
about was a
you've got-
can of paint.
Yeah, now you've got all kinds of plastics, and you can't
These
get
chairs.
You can't get a piece of furniture that's built with a nice oak. It's some type of laminate and all that. But on the other hand, now firefighters are wearing masks, and the turnout gear is a little better. Where in the old days, when they had the wood, it'd be rare that somebody would have a mask on.
Well, you look at Emergency and you look at other TV shows from the 60s and 70s, and you see them going into these buildings, and then you look at like Chicago Fire,
Fire.
and
Yeah.
you see what they're using in terms of equipment and stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
you must have seen a change since
Oh, yeah.
1972.
Yes, when I
you know.
came on in '72, in most instances, it was just the members of the rescue squad that wore a mask. And the other companies had masks, but a lot of times people didn't wear
A
them.
lot's changed since
Yeah,
72.
a lot's changed, now we take readings to see if the atmosphere is clear of, carbon monoxide and chemicals before we let people take their masks off.
I go to the State Museum and I see those old fire trucks, the pumper trucks.
Yep.
And you just look at that and you just wonder, like, how did everything not burn down?
Yeah.
100 years ago, that they're using these trucks,
Sure.
and you had
Sure.
to pump the water in from a long distance. and-
sure.
Yep.
Or use
So-
steam to do it with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let me just ask you one other thing, and I wanted to bring this up. There was a day in your past, Chief, February 19th, 2007, which was a very sad day for you.
Oh, yeah, that was.
Could you please tell the audience and
Sure, that
go
was,
into that a little
my
bit?
younger brother, Ted, had a heart attack at a fire in the South End. He was acting lieutenant of the rescue squad, and they had a couple fires during the day. This was a living room fire on the 6th floor. Him and his crew ran up the 6 flights of stairs, searched the apartment, helped with the extinguishment, and then came out and he had a massive heart attack. But, it is, was sad.
I was going to ask you, but I mean, it must be hard to, a person to keep in shape. I mean, is there standards or an age limit? I mean,
No, actually,
going up 6 flights of stairs with all that equipment, how much does
Yeah.
it even weigh? I mean,
Yeah.
just
About
to get a
75
fracture,
pounds with
going up
just the
75
equipment.
pounds, you can, just going up flights of stairs
Yeah,
like that.
in 2001, the city adopted with the IFF and the International Chiefs Association a fit test for firefighters, and every year whenever a new class is hired, they go through this
How
exam.
about the current staff? Do they go through this also?
Not through that same thing, but we have workout equipment in the firehouses. We have a annual physical that we have to pass, which is a OSHA requirement. So
What about age limit?
they're just retirement age of 67 right now.
And you have
Well,
to
it
get-
depends on what plan you're in.
Yeah.
Some are 62, some are 65, some are 70.
So I wanted to find out if you felt that that people are generally safe with their belongings in terms of not causing fire, not, or is it something that you feel would be
Generally
safer?
safe,
or-
yeah. I think the world has gotten safer. It's there's a few things you can do. We've had a lot of fires with all across the country with candles. Don't ever
Incense.
leave a
And
candle or
heaters.
incense
Heaters?
The space
The
heaters.
the space heaters, I can remember when I was a kid, the kerosene heaters, it was like every weekend you'd have a fire all across the country.
How
that
fast do you
space.
have to get to a fire where it's really kept under control? And if you, like, is it seconds, I believe?
Well, no, we try to get to respond under 3 minutes, and that's usually our response time, between
that's a-
3 and 4 minutes. Of
With
course,
a-
if the fire is, that's from notification.
Right.
If the fire is smoldering for a long period of time, then
It's gonna get out of
it's
hand.
gonna, right, it'll reach what you call flashover, and that's when the fire's coming out the
It'll
windows.
triple
and-
in a minute.
and-
How difficult was it fighting the fire with the Terra restaurant, the kosher restaurant that was about to open on Washington Avenue? You were on the scene for that.
Yep, I was on the scene. It was, a usual, typical working fire. There was some fire in the walls, so that made we had to search a little more. At one point, it looked like it was going to be more than what it was, and it was kind of a stiff breeze coming. And if you stood directly in front of the building, it didn't look like there was any fire. And if you backed up, you could see the smoke had been blowing over the building towards the park.
Is the building totaled?
No, I don't think so. No, they'll be able to fix that again.
And is it an electrical fire?
No, I believe that was somebody, which is, we believe it may have been barbecuing inside. That's
Up on the
another.
top here.
Up on the third floor, the tenants on the third
I think
floor?
second floor, maybe. I'm not.
Because there was a
positive.
pregnant, a
Yeah,
woman
she
who was
was up on
pregnant
the
on the
third
third
floor,
floor,
yeah.
and she
The
had to
fire-
jump to New Scotland
Yeah, the
Antiques.
fire
right?
started on the second floor.
Oh.
And they climbed down. But that was, I talk about the barbecue grills. There is a city code that, you're not supposed to have your grill within 10 feet of a brick structure and within 25 feet of a wooden structure. So that kind of limits you
Even from the outside?
from the
Right.
outside,
Oh.
yeah. So,
I put my, I have to look at,
Well-
my barbecue a few
Well, you're
feet
in Delmar,
away.
you're not in the city, so
That's
this is,
right,
there are different
but,
regulations in Delmar.
it doesn't take much for that if
Yeah.
grease leaks and the hose burns off and you get an open hose and you got
Right.
propane going, or if you're not watching it in the back of the siding, or some
But-
of the siding is, just vinyl siding just melts.
So the
right
message
away.
is, don't barbecue inside the house, though.
Well, definitely inside the
Certainly.
house. But,
And that's what was going on in that building.
believe, we're still investigating, but we believe that's what may have been happening.
Well, I
You
hope they had
talk
I hope they had insurance, let's put it that way.
It's a different show. Listen, Mark, you have, I think, important that Orthodox Jews, of course, it's the way we are, they actually, I heard a report that an emergency nurse, and this is in Brooklyn, says, the most cases, or the majority of cases we see are Jewish children that get burned. And the reason is, and Mark gave us a nice, interesting list, we're doing so many things with candles. There you were talking about old
Candles,
times. That's what
yeah.
reminded me of the kerosene. But, we're traditional. So, that there's the Friday night candles, and you have little kids. And also Orthodox Jews have a lot of children around. So children, like you say, with fire, but you need that. And when we have bonfires, Hanukkah, you
Yeah.
light candles around. All it takes is one kid. Actually, there's one mitzvah, commandment that right before Passover, you're supposed to check, symbolically if there's any bread around. You go around with a candle, and they say in New York and Brooklyn, there has to be a fire, and there have to be. It
Yeah.
doesn't mean
You go
that-
with
The odds
you
are-
go with
the
a
odds are
feather-
good that it
Yeah.
will.
A feather, a wooden spoon, and a lit candle. How much of is that waiting
Yeah.
to a tragedy waiting to happen?
You go around their drapes, and,
Yeah.
With a lit candle.
Well, I think, in,
So they-
a religious ceremony, I think you're a little more supervised, and this is.
But you know how
what we get
fast
is-
these
oh,
things
yes,
happen?
it
the
I
kid
mean-
goes
jumps
fast.
on the table. We've had, and we never had a fire, but just like you say, keeping an eyeball, a little kid gets up there, I want to see the candle, and not,
Yeah.
what does it take?
Oh, it doesn't take much.
Candle.
And
Nope.
just prior to the starting Passover, we burn the traditional food that we eat all year round, and again, that's a controlled fire. But again, you would think that the fire department would be notified so that they would know that this controlled burn was being done, in the back of what we have on New Scotland Avenue. Is that where they do it? Where do they do
Well,
it?
they used to do it next to the New Scotland Avenue fire station.
Okay.
Okay.
And now
Oh,
there's
yeah?
a library there.
Right.
We used
Yeah.
to
So-
play ball with the kids there. and
So
things.
you don't want to, yeah.
But yeah.
So I don't know where they do it now, but you should know that there's that this does happen. Plus, there's a holiday in between two other holidays where they give you a relaxed day called Lag BaOmer, and they have a bonfire at night for that
Yeah.
one. So, you got to keep an eye out for all
Oh,
these
yes.
ethnically and culturally sensitive issues.
Yeah.
But you have to, they're not necessarily religious. I mean, Hanukkah, you have candles, and you always hear about a fire because, again, some people use oil and not
Okay.
candles, but that's still dangerous. It could tip over. It
Sure,
could start a fire very quickly. When someone passes away, you light a yurt, or the anniversary, you light a yurtside candle. I'm teaching you about
Yes.
this.
Yeah,
So
we're listening.
and then you have a yurtside candle, and then you have a Havdalah candle at the end of Shabbos, where
A
you
lot of fire going on.
and a
that's
lot
what
of,
he's saying.
and there's fire where you're saying, you're holding the candle in your hand, the wax is dripping on your hand as you're saying these prayers. It's not very long, but, it does hurt. And if you drop the
Right.
candle and then it starts something, you got to be
Many
careful.
times candles have fallen. I mean, we caught it, like you say,
Yeah.
supervised within a few seconds, but
And then you,
otherwise it's a
and then you
dangerous
have,
situation.
when you want to kosher an oven, you blowtorch the oven.
Oh, yeah.
And Rabbi Simon's good at this. He blowtorched my oven to make sure it was kosher. You got to worry about the sensors or the
Yeah.
electrical units,
Temperature
Sure.
control.
But you
Lot
got,
of fire.
you can't use the oven unless you blowtorch it, so that's a very sticky,
Kosher.
Didn't know that.
so
Lot
you
of
should
fire
do,
going
you should
on.
do a, you should do a seminar in the Jewish community. You should, maybe the Albany JCC, and, educate and let people know that you know about the customs of the Jewish religion, and do something as an educational program, at least going around to some neighborhood associations or helping with, bringing the Jewish community together. And I could certainly help you with that if you
Chief,
want.
your the FIU unit does that stuff now,
Yeah.
currently, right?
Yeah, that would be assigned to the fire prevention unit, and,
That's
they
under
go
your
out- They go
tutelage?
out,
Yes.
Yeah.
they do senior citizen centers, and besides the young children, kindergarten,
Well, if
first
I can
grade.
help you with pulling something together for the Jewish community to talk to
Sure.
them about this,
Yeah.
it
I
would be
think we
great,
can set that up.
that would be good. I'd like to help you, any way I can.
Just with the fire unit, I always had the question that, there are a lot of old age homes, and of course, we visit them, and the B'nai B'rith, Ohev Shalom. And, listen, if they're old people, they're gonna get sick, more often than a young person. So many times you see an ambulance in front, but they also always have a fire truck.
Yes.
It says, I get scared, what's a fire, oy vey, oy vey. And no, it's just an
Yeah.
old person getting
Justin,
sick.
it's not Justin over.
Just, but I'm just saying, is that a fire? I mean,
Right.
a fire is super
Okay.
dangerous, the whole place burned down, God forbid, we don't want.
All right, we'll explain that.
Okay.
And usually we're asked by everyone about these type of situations, and we're asked, I'm sure with the new common council members, we'll get asked again. Because people, they don't feel good, or that something happens, they say, well, I don't want to call the fire department because 5 fire trucks are going to come. The system is set up, we've got a good number of EMTs, which emergency medical technicians, and then we've got almost 100 paramedics. So it's a 2-tier system
And a force of 245,
of 245.
which includes the EMTs and the paramedics.
Right,
Okay.
they're all part of that. There's probably 100 and, let's see, probably 150 EMTs and 90 paramedics.
Wow.
So the paramedics, they respond on what's called ALS calls, that's advanced life support. And the EMTs on the engines and the ladders respond to the BLS, that's basic life support. Now, you cut you're dicing your cucumbers in the kitchen and you cut your hand. Okay. If you were to call an ambulance directly, they're required by city code to call us. All the EMS calls have to go through us. So we're going to respond. Sometimes people do that, just call the ambulance. And you know, three fire trucks come anyway. Well, we're gonna come. They're gonna send an engine or a ladder truck. And they'll look at your hand, they'll bandage you up, they'll take your blood pressure and your vital signs. The ambulance crew, they'll pass you off to the ambulance crew, they'll put you in the ambulance, take you to the hospital.
Why do you,
And
but why do you
if
need the
it's-
ladder truck?
Well, the ladder truck, because we have EMTs on both engines and ladders. All right, if it's a single company house where it's just a ladder, you want to get the company that's closest to
Right.
your house, so
Right.
we'll send a ladder. If it's a double company where it's an engine and a ladder, they rotate back and forth. Engine gets a call, ladder gets a call. Sometimes the engine will get two calls because we'll watch, and we don't want to send the ladder trucks down some narrow one-way street, or if
Yeah, it's
depending
true.
on, you know.
Some of these streets in the city of Albany were not meant for
Right,
today's
and we try to
vehicles.
avoid that. Doesn't make the engine people happy, but,
Right.
you know,
Right, that's true.
we got the last two, but that happens. Okay, so it couldn't be either an engine or a ladder, and hopefully it's gonna be the one closest to your house. Now, if you call and you say, I really don't feel well, I'm having trouble breathing, I've got pains in my chest, and the dispatcher will ask you all these questions, and it'll be tagged as it's probably gonna be an ALS call. So they'll send an engine and a ladder,
Engine
and
or
a
ladder.
paramedic.
Right.
Right,
Engine or ladder.
engine or ladder, and a paramedic unit. So the paramedics will come with the engine or the ladder, and there's usually about 5 people from the fire department and the 2 ambulance attendants. They're either EMTs or paramedics. And they'll start to work with you, and they'll set you up for an EKG, and they'll administer drugs to you, start an IV on you. And these 5, or 6, counting the ambulance, 7 people work on you simultaneously, and there's a job for everybody there to, you
Okay.
know,
So it's all-
one person's starting the IV, one person is setting up the EKG
So-
monitor, and
I always run into this problem on the show. We have a few minutes left, and I have like 2 pages of
Pages.
questions here. So I just wanted to mention one other thing, if you don't
Listen, you
mind.
can always invite them back.
I
if
will,
they're
I
about-
will,
Yeah.
I will, no
Yeah.
doubt. But I just wanted to say, you know, other times people say to me, they see a fire truck with 5 firefighters at Price Chopper doing the shopping together as a group, because you need food in the firehouse, and you've got to go shopping together in case you get a call. Then the
Yep.
fire truck has to go right from Price Chopper. It's not just right from, you don't want to go back to the firehouse, pick everyone up, and then have to
Yeah.
go, or you don't want to be short any men on the fire truck, or have to wait for someone to return from Price Chopper. So that's why people.
well, we try not to do that.
But I'm
There's
cor-
an SOP that says they're not supposed to do that.
Oh.
Sometimes you might
I thought
run
it was-
into a problem that, you know, you forgot something, but you are correct.
how long
Everybody
are these
should be
shifts?
together. The
Right,
How
yes.
long are the shifts?
The shifts are 24 hours.
I mean,
Right.
a
8
person has to
a.m.
work 24 hours?
And they
24
sleep in
hours.
the station.
Sleep in the station,
Sure.
eat in the station, till 8 a.m. the next morning. You have 3 days off, and then they do it again.
So
You touch base on crew, that, about everybody going out with the apparatus together.
Yeah.
Crew integrity is very
Right,
important.
that's
You
true.
know,
Yeah.
we'll
I just
work-
want people to know that it's not, you know, a bunch of guys just going off with a fire truck having a good time.
Nope.
It's very serious. The other thing I wanted to ask you, Bob, is what is the airport firefighters? Is that a separate union?
It is. They're their own small entity, Albany County Airport firefighters, yes.
So that's separate from
Separate
your
from us.
Correct, from the
Albany
Albany.
City
yep.
Fire?
As is Schenectady or Troy, Waterville, they're all separate
Right, but
locals.
because you would think that, well, it's Colony, it's not City of Albany, the
Right.
airport, so, but it's a separate union. Do you
Yes.
get along with them? Do you?
Yeah,
Oh,
yep.
No
Actually, they'll call mutually, the chief will.
We'll call we've called the airport in, probably in the last 10 years, maybe half a dozen times.
Okay.
That's with Schenectady,
So
Waterville.
what
and
is
Troy,
the,
too.
let me ask you, what's the starting salary for a firefighter? Approximately? give me-
Approximately,
40,000,
grade
50?
1 is around 36,
Okay.
9 or so.
And
Yeah.
you earn 109,000, I'm told.
I believe so, yep.
Okay.
I haven't looked.
And 109,750.
Right.
Okay.
And not the tax agent over here.
And you?
I'm a lieutenant, yeah, our salary is, I think it's 58?
Somewhere
correct?
around
In that
58,
range,
Around
yeah.
okay.
58,000.
And you know what? For all that you guys do, you ain't being paid enough, but I know that, the city's in financial difficulty. They have a very big budget deficit, and I
Yeah.
just wish you all the best, and you really should, just keep keeping us safe. Keep on
Everyone
keeping
loves their
us-
job. Everybody on this job wants to be on this job. They know the risks. They know what the expectations are.
They know what
and,
they're coming into.
Yep, and
Yep.
everybody wants to be here and do it,
All right, thank you very much for the
Welcome.
chief and lieutenant. It's very informative to ourselves, but I'm sure to our viewers that to find out what's behind the fire engine, it's more than just riding around in a truck with a siren on over here. Thank you very much for being
Thank
here.
you.
Welcome,
Bye.
thank you
Been
for
a
having me.
pleasure.